Now, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is now preventing the new massive spending bill from passing in Congress.
I mean, at the time, I knew Paris Rice didn't quite get it. She said, her dad said, you know, a national park. I said, oh, yes. She said, and she went and looked, she said, you promise?
This is bad news, everybody. So you have to keep watching to understand what President Biden, as well as many other Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, are doing about the fourth stimulus check. Stay tuned for more information, everybody.
It's that simple, inflicting pain on American workers and families while putting us at a global disadvantage. Just look at the radical climate policies Democrats have packed into the spree.
The unemployment rate is now down below 5% at 4.8%. Let me just repeat that. Today's report has the unemployment rate down to 4.8%, a significant improvement from when I took office and a sign that our recovery is moving forward, even in the face of a COVID pandemic. That improvement was widespread. Unemployment for Hispanic workers was down, and the unemployment rate for African Americans fell almost a full percent, and it's now below 8% for the first time in 17 months. A drop of 496,000 in long-term unemployment is the second largest single-month drop since we started keeping records. The largest was in July. So in the past 3 months, we've seen a drop of 1.3 million long-term unemployed. That's the largest 3 months fall in long-term unemployment since we started keeping records in 1948. More to do, but great progress. And working Americans are seeing their paychecks go up as well. In September, we saw one of the largest increases in average wages paid to workers working Americans on record. Treasured national monuments, our most treasured. Based on powers granted to the president under the Antiquities Act, first used more than a century ago by Teddy Roosevelt. First, Bears Ears National Monument in Utah. This is the first national monument in the country to be established at the request of federally recognized tribes, and a place of healing, as was spoken by the Secretary, a place of reverence, a sacred homeland to hundreds of generations of Native peoples. The last administration reduced the size by 85%, leaving vulnerable more than 1 million acres of cherished landscape. Today, we shall shortly be signing a proclamation to fully restore the boundaries of Bears Ears. And second, I'm restoring Utah's Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, a place of unique and extraordinary geology as well as biodiversity, established as a national monument 25 years ago this month.
And Speaker Rico has referenced, and Prime Minister as well. This is an issue that we have to have fairness about. Equity, it's a justice issue. And as Madam President said, women were affected drastically, economically, in every way during in the course of the pandemic, and still are. So when we are looking at all of this, and we're talking about building back better in America, we're talking about building back better with women. With women, many things that exist in developed countries that we do not have in the United States: child care, early childhood education, family and medical leave, the list goes on, home health care, and the rest. So we are recognizing that over 4 million people women lost their jobs. Only half of them are able to be back into the job market, because they need help with their children and other health care providing that they do at home. So we see the role of women, and I thank you both all.
Over the last quarter century, this land has produced a significant scientific discoveries per acre than more than any other national monument, everything from fossils to ancient indigenous artifacts. And once again, the last administration cut the size of the monument nearly in half, stripping away more than 800,000 protected acres. Today, I'm signing a proclamation to restore it to its full glory. Third, off the coast of New England, I'm restoring protection of the northeast canyons and seamounts Marine National Monument. Waters teeming with life, with underwater canyons as deep as parts of the Grand Canyon and underwater mountains as tall as the Appalachians. There's nothing like it in the world. Because its unique biodiversity, marine scientists believe that this is the key to understanding life under the sea. President Obama established it as a national monument 5 years ago, recognizing its irreplaceable value. Again, my predecessor chipped away at its protections. The proclamation I'll be signing today is going to restore protections established by President Obama when this monument was first created. Excuse me. The protection of public lands must not become, a pendulum that swings back and forth depending on who's in public office. It's not a partisan issue. And I want to thank the members of Congress who have come together to support this important conservation work. And by the way, I might add, as a matter of courtesy, I spoke with both the senators from Utah. They didn't agree with what I was doing, but they were gracious and polite about it, and I appreciate that as well. The truth is, national monuments and parks are part of the identity as our identity as a people.
So the debt ceiling deal, proposed by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, put his GOP conference in a bind, with some Republicans accusing the formidable Senate tactician of folding in a standoff with Democrats, and other people refusing to go along with the strategy. The Senate voted 50-48 to extend the nation's debt limit through early December. But despite 3 meetings in a span of 48 hours, Republicans have remained at logheads, ahead of the state's stimulus vote. During a private 90-minute meeting, Ted Cruz of Texas also disagreed with McConnell's strategy and insisted that he would force the 60-vote threshold on the GOP leader's plan to avoid a default until early December. That meant that 10 Republicans will be forced to break a GOP filibuster in order to allow the debt ceiling increase to move forward. 11 Republicans eventually broke ranks everybody to clear that hurdle. So it seems to me that Ted Cruz is now getting the Republicans ready to help out the Democrats in sending out President Biden's state stimulus checks. McConnell has also defended his approach both in public settings and behind closed doors. He has signaled to members that the future of the Senate rules may have been at stake. McConnell has also argued that helping Democrats punt the debt ceiling crisis undermines Democrats' argument that they do not have enough time to use the complex budgetary process known as reconciliation to lift the nation's borrowing limit. McConnell also pointed out that as part of the deal, Democrats have to name a fixed dollar amount to which to raise the debt ceiling, and they will have to own that number. Not everyone in the conference was in agreement, and the angst among Republicans threw into question whether a debt ceiling increase could pass the chamber. At issue was rounding up 10 Republicans to allow the debt limit vote to proceed. So now President Biden won the White House campaigning on his Build Back Better plan. And the first phase of that plan was enacted in March through the American Rescue Plan. The sweeping legislation sought to tackle immediate concerns that the U.S. was facing. The legislation sent out the third stimulus checks and gave each of us a $1,400